I have been fortunate enough to live a very, very exciting life, especially in the last 4 years or so. I've met some very, very influential people and I've had some amazing discussions with them. I've got to pick the brains of some of the most famous people, some of the most politically minded people, some of the most talented people. And today's story is about the time that I asked a politician about Bohemian Grove. Now, this politician wasn't just a random person, he was someone that ended up becoming my friend. And I will go into how I met him and exactly what he said. And he definitely did not hold back. And I was very shocked by it. And so I thought I would get this out and I would put this out for you guys. And hopefully, you guys find it as fascinating as I found it. Because I'm not necessarily conspiratorially minded, but I do love a good conspiracy because I think that the majority of them are based in at least a little bit of truth. And so when I heard what he had to say, I was dumbfounded. Yeah, I was just dumbfounded. It was crazy. So this is the story that was told to me. First, I'll tell you a little bit about this guy. Now, I'm not going to give his name up because A, I like him. I consider him to be a friend, not a close friend, but we're acquaintances for sure. I'm going to see him again. So I'm not giving away his name, even though most people, the majority of people that see this thumbnail won't even click on this. So it really doesn't matter, but I'm not giving away his name. I respect him and we'll leave it at that. And I'm doing that not only because I want to keep his anonymity and I want him to be anonymous, but because he told me things that are very personal and could damage his reputation. And so we'll leave it at that and I will keep it, we're going to keep him anonymous, period. This guy, which I met him at a pool party at my last condo that I had before I moved into this shithole. I had a very nice apartment in a very nice area, and it had a massive resort style pool. And so everyone, the who is who, kind of like a Great Gatsby sort of thing, would come to these pool parties, and it would be the most influential people. It would be like the mayor, like everyone would be there. And it was wild. It was wild. And through a friend of mine that I had met at this place that also lived there, he doesn't live there anymore, but nor do I met this guy. This guy is a politician and he is a very, very prominent politician who is no longer in politics, but at the time, not at the time, but back when he was in politics, he was one of the youngest senators to ever hold office. And so his whole family was ingrained in politics. And then almost since birth, he has been preordained to become a politician. He has the look of a politician, he has the demeanor of a politician, but the guy's kind of nerdy and socially awkward. He's not he's not the life of the party. He's cool because he's him, but he just kind of follows people. He's not actually contributing that much, in my opinion. That's just the sense I get from him. And I love him to death. You know who you are, but you're just not. Fuck, I hope to God he doesn't watch this, actually. Um, you know who you are, but you're not the life of the party. So back in the day, I used to contribute to these pool parties, right? So I would have beautiful girls come over and I was kind of always surrounded by really cool people and beautiful women. And it wasn't even like I was hooking up with them, the majority of them, but they just liked being around me. I don't know why. Maybe I'm a cool person. Maybe they enjoyed what I had to offer. Maybe they liked mingling with wealthy, influential people. I don't know. But I met him there. Um, and we hit it off pretty well. He's a really nice guy, and I had so many questions for him. And he took like almost an instant liking to me because I think he never admitted this, but just my own thoughts about it was like, because he's told me, he's like, man, you always have the coolest people, you always have all these beautiful women. And it's kind of a joke, but kind of wasn't. He liked being around circle. He likes being in the group like that, although he doesn't have to be. It's just like a human nature sort of thing. So I befriended him and he befriended me and we became pretty cool. You know, I'd see him maybe once every 2 weeks or so and, you know, just message him, hi, how are you? One time at this massive pool party, we are all drinking. And this guy, for the record, does not drink because he got into a little bit of trouble in the past with drinking. So he doesn't drink. But I may have convinced him to drink. Not, he didn't get obliterated, but he was drinking. And him and I were just talking afterwards. And this went on, you know, it started like 11, which is early. And then this is many hours later. And we're out by the pool in like a cabana sort of thing, just us. And I finally had the opportunity to ask him about politics, about everything. I'd asked him before, but kind of more vaguely. And I really, really wanted him to come on what I wanted then to be a YouTube podcast show where instead of doing this, I would actually interview people. I thought that'd be really cool. And I thought he'd be the most fascinating guest ever because he's seen behind the curtain. This guy to this day, right now he's out of politics, but he's not out of politics because he works for private billionaires lobbying for their interests. One of them is Charles Koch of the Koch brothers. And the other one, people know if they live here, but he's not as well known. So I'm not going to say him, especially because I don't want you to piece anything together and try to reverse engineer who I'm speaking about. But this guy, him and I became cool. And so I could ask him questions. I was super fascinated with politics. I wanted to know. Because this guy is in politics, guys, like still to this day. He travels to Washington every other week to meet with RFK Jr. He's close with Donald Trump. Like if he saw Donald Trump would say, hi, how are you? And know his name sort of thing, which is crazy because then he's hanging out with me, which I'm nothing. I mean, I am something. I'm important too, but not like that. I mean, that's a different level. That's like running a country level importance. So he is in the know-how. And one of the questions I asked him was about Bohemian Grove. And I didn't expect him, I didn't know he went, but he basically told me that he went. And he gave me insight and a crazy amount of detail to exactly what happened. And I just couldn't believe it. And so that's the story that I'm going to share with you today. He went supposedly, this was 6 years ago, so in maybe 2020, with a couple people, including, I could say one person, Mike Pompeo. So he went to Bohemian Grove. He was inducted or allowed to go through Mike Pompeo. So they got there and they got inducted into a group. Now, I guess they have different groups, and he was in something called a hillbilly group. I don't know if that's like a play on like Kansas, being from Kansas, but he was in a hillbilly group of some kind. Like they name groups or something. It's separate campsites. And you can only go if you're invited, and you have to sign up, I guess, way ahead of time. The person that is inviting you has, and I don't know what type of research they do on you or what, but this is just what he told me. So he shows up and everything is kind of normal, right? In the beginning. Now, he went there specifically in order to lobby for something for one of the billionaires that he works for now that he's out of office. And I don't know what that thing was. Honestly, I think he told me, but I don't even remember it, so I'm not even going to say it. I don't know if it had to do with like, I think it had to do with like zoning or something silly. Like to pass like national legislation to allow some type of zoning thing. It's boring. Doesn't matter. He went to Bohemian Grove and he said that initially it was pretty normal, right? He was hanging out, he was meeting people, a lot of the people he knew. He didn't tell me any names of any celebrities in particular, but this guy knows a lot of people. Put it to you this way, 2 years ago at the Super Bowl, he was in the same private booth as Taylor Swift. Blew my mind too. I don't know how the fuck I know how he got it. It's because I know how he got there. He doesn't know Taylor Swift, but he was in the same booth as Taylor Swift because one of the billionaires that he works for are very, very prominent Chiefs fans. and Kansas City Chiefs. And so this was like 2 or 3 years ago. So anyways, this guy knows people. And so he went there and he said initially, like at nighttime, they would just hang around like the campfire. But on the first night, I believe he said the first night, they did this thing called the Cremation of Care. Now, I've heard of it through like Alex Jones, but I don't know if it's true or not. Like, I didn't know anyone prior to speaking to him that actually knew about this sort of thing, right? So they do this Cremation of Care, and allegedly, it's just to say basically, hey guys, all of our cares can go out the window and we could just be ourselves. We could just be ourselves here. We don't have to worry about the outside world. We don't have to worry about, we can just let loose. And so that's what they did. Now, during the Cremation of Care, they burn this thing and they do plays or something from what he said. He said it was plays, and he sounded enthusiastic about it, but to me it sounded stupid as fuck. And they did this play, and then they all sat in a circle, and they were handed a cracker from a guy wearing like a robe. And they're handed a cracker, and they have to eat the cracker, and they say some words, and then they eat the cracker. Kind of funny enough, kind of like Catholicism. I'm not Catholic, but that's what it sounded like to me. And I don't know if it's true or not, because like if that is comparable, because I'm not Catholic, but like the body of Christ or whatever, except for on these crackers, it was dosed with very, very powerful psychedelics. So they're all doing massive amounts of psychedelics. And these people are like very, very prominent people. So that was the very first night. They were taking off their clothes. They were just acting wild in the woods, from what I hear. And for the record, I'm going to tell you this because I haven't said anyone's name, so it doesn't matter. I spoke to this guy quite often, out at the pool, and then we text a little bit. This guy's gay, but he's a Republican. He's a Republican, and so it wasn't cool to be gay. So he's closeted, and he just is. He's a closeted gay. I don't see anything wrong with it. I like gay people. I don't care. Whatever you do in the bedroom is your business, but they have a massive problem with it. And so he was a closeted gay going to this thing, and there's no women there. And he didn't say that he did this, but he said he saw it, and I'm probably pretty sure he probably participated. They were doing things I can't even say on YouTube to one another, like sexual things, like crazy, crazy things. And partly I was thinking to myself, maybe this is like, and he didn't say this, but I'm thinking to myself, is this like a hazing ritual? Is this like I have dirt on you, kind of like an Epstein thing almost, where I have dirt on you and we all can be ourselves because we've all seen each other do some crazy, crazy shit. Maybe so. Anyways, that immediately kicked it off. Now they're living in different campsites, I guess. And he said that they took golf carts to go from campsite to campsite, and they don't leave. They have it's not like they're camping though. Like they have massive, massive indoor spaces, I guess, that are like air conditioned and everything, where they eat and they have like very fine food. They live very, very well while they're there. They're just in like cabins, but it's not like they have to use an outhouse or anything. It's very, very elegant and very luxurious there. So he said on the second night that he was there, because throughout the day you're just mingling. And like I said, he was there for an agenda intentionally to get this legislation passed somehow. He was just trying to get business transactions done, which funny enough, after the fact, I did research on that, and it says something like you're not supposed to do that. That's exactly what they were doing. I know that in the past, because I looked it up, like the Manhattan Project was allegedly designed there, and a bunch of other things. But he said on the second night, they were around this, there was a big fire, and it was kind of like a Coliseum type, not as big as a Coliseum, but like Coliseum seating, if you will, kind of like an amphitheater. And they had some of the most prominent scientists and political leaders and thought leaders like from the world come and speak about issues that are going to affect policy. Now, this isn't just like World War III type of things. This is like, he said one in particular was, we have a big problem with our food supply. Our food supply is a massive, massive problem. And now that I think about it, funny enough, that might be his connection to RFK, but I don't know if it is or not, because I'd never asked him what they talk about. I just never ask. I just think it's cool that you know, that he's there. So I don't really bother him with, and he's not gonna tell me anyways, but he told me this. So I don't know. But they were talking about like our food supply, and they have like prominent guest speakers there. Funny enough, this is a girl that he said that was speaking, and it's strange because there's not supposed to be women there. I don't know if maybe if they're speaking they can be there, but I don't know. So he said that happened on the second night that he was there, and it was super fascinating and super interesting because these people are basically the thought leaders of the world, of the free world, not just the United States, but there are very, very powerful people there that are designing policies in order to control human life, I guess. I don't even know what else to say. It's just so far beyond my comprehension that I can't even get the correct word for it. But I thought that was crazy as fuck when he was telling me these things. And for the record, he, you know, I thought it was kind of hypocritical, the things he told me, which I can't repeat on here because YouTube will it's not even demonetize me. They'll probably kick me off if I said half the shit he said. But these Republican people are so against all of these things, and they have conservative values, and then they go out in the middle of the woods and they're doing drugs and they're having gay sex and they're doing crazy things that I can't say on here. Use your imagination. It probably happened. Like GIMP. I mean, it was crazy. He told me this, and we talked for a couple hours because he doesn't really like he likes being at the party, but this is the sort of guy that's kind of, I don't know, he reminds me of like valedictorian or something. He just doesn't like being in crowds. So we just talked, and he told me all of these things, and I'm thinking to myself the entire time, holy shit. You know, and I even actually kind of acted like that at the time. I was like, holy shit. And anyways, he ended up having to go. And that's the only, I've seen him since, but I've never brought it up. I've never talked about it. That was the story that was given to me. And so that is his Bohemian Grove story. That he didn't say anything else or anything crazy. He didn't tell me about anyone else that was there, but you could probably use your imagination. That's exactly what's taking place. They're passing policy behind the scenes. And I think that they're like compromising one another to make sure that if anyone gets out of line, they'll be able to damage their credibility and ruin their reputation. I don't even think they tell like their wives what they do there. So the fact that he told me that is incredible. And this guy is very, very believable. If I told you who this guy was, you would say, yeah, that happened. But I can't. And so you're just gonna have to take my word for it. But it happened. He told me and it happened. I believe him 110%. And so that is my Bohemian Grove story. And tell me in the comments below if you've heard anything different or what hillbilly means. Like, let me know. Like, are they just calling us a hillbilly? Whatever, ha ha. I would like to know because, like I said, I like conspiracies, but I'm not really obsessed with them because I don't have the time. So let me know below in the comments. Thank you guys, and make sure you subscribe. I'm risking people's reputations here to give this story to you, but I think it's important because I want to know what the fuck happened there, and I want you to know. And I've heard stories, I guess, from like Alex Jones, but this is a credible source that I believe. Like when he said it happened, it happened. And he told me things that could damage his reputation. So I know that he's not just bullshitting me. So thank you guys very much, and I will see you in the next video.